Each year, the Heart Foundation of Jamaica celebrates CPR Week. This year, we will be celebrating CPR Week under the theme, 2 Simple Steps Can Save a Life. You may be asking yourself, what is CPR? CPR stands for cardiopulmonary resuscitation and is basically where you give chest compressions and deliver breaths to ensure that you have adequate blood flow and oxygenation. Now, say someone was supposed to collapse suddenly. What will your action be? Oftentimes, what the person is suffering is a sudden cardiac arrest. A sudden cardiac arrest is where the heart stops beating suddenly and usually occurs from a rhythm called ventricular fibrillation. This occurs 70% of the times, where the heart is just quivering. And the treatment for this is CPR as well as defibrillation. Now, once somebody collapses, you need to tap the person's shoulder and in a loud voice ask if they're okay.
Are you okay?
Check if the person is breathing. Look for rise and fall of the chest. Once the person is unresponsive and not breathing, you must start chest compressions after calling for help. Place one hand in the center of the chest on the lower half of the breastbone, the other hand directly on top, interlocking your fingers, getting your elbows straight, and you're going to push down about 2 inches to the beat of the song, Staying Alive, 30 times. 29, 30. Then you're going to open the airway by doing a head tilt chin lift, pinching the nose close, and give 2 breaths while watching for chest rise. All right, and then you'll go back to chest compressions. Now you must do 5 cycles. Go 1, 2, 5 cycles of 30 compressions at 2 breaths, at least 2 inches for the adults, about 2 inches for the child, and 1.5 inch for the infant. Very important to give infants breath. You must tilt the head back by placing one hand on the forehead and 2 fingers on the chin without pinching the nose. Use your mouth to cover both the infant's mouth and nose and give 2 breaths while watching for chest rise. Most persons are reluctant to put their mouth onto strangers. If you don't want to put your mouth onto this person, you don't have to. You can give compressions alone. But if you do have a mask, it's made of firm plastic, it goes over the person's mouth and nose, and you do a head tilt, chin lift just the same, while holding the mask tightly against the face, and give 2 breaths while watching for chest rise. Now, during chest compressions, there's a risk of damaging the ribs by causing fracture towards the bone. But doing compressions correctly in the correct position at the correct rate and depth may reduce the chance of damaging the rib. But if there is any damage at all, that can be healed or repaired afterwards. What is most important is to keep blood going to the heart, brain, and other vital organs, keeping the persons alive.
CPR is your responsibility. 80% of cardiac arrest occurs at home. It means, therefore, that your action can save a life. Let's face the reality. 1, we have no pre-hospital emergency medical services in Jamaica. No public pre-hospital emergency system. Secondly, if you call 119, there is no ambulance dispatch. Of course, they'll send a police officer oftentimes. And the question we need to ask ourselves, are police officers CPR certified? Is there any legislation that governs pre-hospital emergency medical services in Jamaica? How many EMTs are actually CPR certified? And then we need to also ask ourselves, what of our medical practitioners? Do they have advanced cardiac life support training? It therefore means that you have the responsibility of learning CPR. So, if your relative collapses, then you need to start CPR. After a sudden cardiac arrest, brain death starts occurring after 4 minutes. It means you need to intervene, because your actions can save a life.